Hey, it's Alex, and I'm back. So you just got a new Apple Watch. Nice. Here's your complete user guide for your new piece of tech. So this is called an Apple Watch, and for gosh sakes, it's not an iWatch. Apple did away with the whole i naming scheme way back in the early days, and it's just no longer, they don't name their products that way anymore. So it's not an iWatch, it's an Apple Watch. And I want to start off this video by saying this is not an iPhone. So I'm not trying to tell you to temper your expectations, but know what your expectations are. Know what this device is and what it's supposed to do for you. It's not meant to necessarily replace your phone. So if you buy this thinking that you can just leave your phone at home, while technically in some aspects you could do that, your experience is going to be greatly altered. This is meant to be an enhancement to your iPhone, not necessarily a replacement. So yes, while you can text on this thing, it's obviously a very different experience than texting on your actual phone. So just know that going into it, that it has a place. It's very closely butted up against the iPhone in terms of what it can do, but it's not meant to actually replace your phone. It's meant to enhance it. So that being said, let's dive into the setup and just talk about the device itself. The setup experience in typical Apple fashion is very futuristic and space agey. You simply point your iPhone camera at the trippy design on the watch face and it sets it up right there on your phone. No caveman Bluetooth setup for the Apple Watch, which is pretty sweet. Oh, I hate to interrupt this regularly scheduled video, but if you're enjoying it so far, leave a like, leave a comment, and maybe subscribe to the channel if you're really enjoying this content and you want to see more of it. Really helps me out. Doesn't cost you a thing, helps me out a ton. I won't bother you about that bell icon because, to be honest, I don't care about it either. But please subscribe, please like, comment, and let's get back to the video. The first thing we're going to talk about here is the hardware. And while you're waiting for your Apple Watch to set up, it's usually a pretty good chance to look everything over and familiarize yourself with the body of the watch. So obviously you have the screen, the face. You have two buttons on this watch. You have the crown, the digital crown that scrolls and clicks in and is a button. And then you have the side button. That's literally what's called the side button. In between those two is a microphone port. And then on the other side of the watch, you have speaker grills for sound to come out. And then on the back side is just kind of where the sensors and blood oxygen modules are at so that it can track activity and heart rate and things like that. The hardware all around is just a really clean, minimal design. The glass kind of melts right into the metal of the watch itself. And it's just a really, really great design. And one of my favorite things about the Apple Watch is the ease of band changing. There's a little button right there that you kind of press and the watch bands just slide out. So if you get the right kind of band for your watch, you can easily swap out bands in a moment or two and have a different band for a different occasion or whatever you need. And then you also have the ability to get cases or bumpers that go on your watch if you're worried about bumping it or scratching it, screen protectors, things like that. It's important to know the make and model and the size of the watch you have when you're buying accessories. The Series 1 through Series 3 are identical, and the Series 4 and Series 5 are identical with the sizing chart on screen here. This model happens to be a Series 5 44mm. Now that your watch is set up, it's going to bring you to a watch face as the home screen, the first thing you'll see. So to access all of your apps, you just simply click the digital crown button and it brings you home to all of your apps. And this is kind of a new experience if you're not used to using a watch. It's a little different than the iPhone, but this is where you access all of your apps. So you have familiar things like messages, the App Store, your photos, wallet, voice memos, even email, notes. It's just a watch version or a slimmed down version of your iPhone app. And if you want to go back to the watch, you just click the dial again and it brings you back. So play around with it a little bit. You can kind of scroll into your apps and move out, move around. You can zoom in and out. It's a very fluid operating system, and you just kind of got to mess around with it to explore how the apps work on your device. Like I say, they're slimmed down versions of your iPhone apps, so they're meant to kind of enhance the experience that you would get with the apps on your iPhone. This side button, when you're on your watch face, if you press it, it will bring up your most recent apps, and you can scroll through and open a recent app that you had open, just like multitasking does on your iPhone. And one cool trick, if you double press the digital crown button, it will automatically open the last app that you had. It'll cycle between the last two apps that you had open, so you don't have to kind of tap around. It'll just bring it right back up. So cool little trick there. A big thing on the Apple Watch is fitness. and that's this little guy here. The rings, closing your rings. The red ring is like a calorie goal or like a move goal. So however much you move or how many calories you burn throughout the day, it will automatically go around as you go about your day. The green is exercise. So I haven't exercised today, but once you start a workout and actually exercise, it will complete. And right now I have my goal set to 30 minutes. So if I exercise for 30 minutes a day, it'll complete that ring. And then the blue is how many hours a day you've stood. And if you've stood at least once an hour in 12 hours for a whole day, then it'll give you the whole blue ring there. So that's your activity. And then you can scroll down and kind of see how many steps were taken that day, and then share with friends and that sort of thing. So that's how the activity works. And then with the workouts, you can start a workout by going to the Workouts app. And then you have your list of outdoor walks, indoor runs, everything you could possibly, like, there's a whole long list. You'll have to kind of explore this on your own watch about how it works. But that's how you would get activity points for working out on your watch. Moving on to calls and notifications. This is actually one of my favorite things about the Apple Watch, is that it's so smart. It knows when it's on your wrist and it knows when it's not. And then it communicates with your iPhone when it's on your wrist. So let's say, for example, you have your phone on ring. It's going to ring every time you get a call. If you have your Apple Watch on, it tells your phone, hey, the watch is on, it's gonna buzz my wrist. I don't need to ring the phone. So it actually silences your phone and silences notifications. And it doesn't display those notifications and calls twice. It's actually a huge feature and something that I didn't care for with using a Fitbit or any kind of other Bluetooth smartwatch, that it just didn't have the deeper level integration with the iPhone that the Apple Watch has. So I really appreciate that feature. When a notification or call comes in, it will buzz your wrist and pop up on the screen. So it will give you the option to respond or swipe it away just like it does on your iPhone. But with a call, you can actually take the call right on your watch and talk into it, kind of like a Star Trek thing. Kind of gimmicky, not really something I use all the time, but it's there if you want to have it as an option. So now that we've kind of talked about how the apps and notifications work, we can really dive into the watch faces and the different complications available. And that's what all these little widget looking things, basically everything you see on screen that's not the clock, is called a complication. And it's a little snippet of information that you can get out of an app from the watch, that instead of having to open the app to find that information, you can just look at your watch and see what it is. So in setting up your watch faces, you can do this either on the watch itself or on your iPhone. They've kind of changed it where it's a little easier to do on the watch. So if you want to edit or add a new watch face, you simply tap and hold the watch face. And if we want to add a new one, we'll swipe all the way to the end, click new, and then you can kind of scroll through your options, and there are tons. You'll have to spend a lot of time kind of figuring out how you want to make it your own. But I like this infograph watch face, so I'm going to select that. And by default, it's going to have everything on there that it wants to put on there. So if you want to change anything, you hold again and you press edit, and then here I can change the color of the watch dial, the icons. I like the colorful one, so I'll leave it colorful. Swipe over and I can change my complications. I can tap and go through and select, let's say I want to put messages in there so I can see my messages. This is weather, so I want to see what the weather is at a glance. I can change it so I want to put a workout there. So you can really go into a deep level of customization with your watch faces, and then you can get information at a glance instead of having to open the app. And then, like you just saw I did there, if you want to actually open the app, you can just tap the complication. So like with weather, I can just tap it and then I can see kind of what the weather is for the day, what the temperature is, the probability of rain, scroll down and see more information about the week. Same thing with messages, it's just a shortcut into my messages. Same with the calendar, same with everything else. So they're just shortcuts to the apps with little snippets of information. And then if you want to get crazy, you can set up multiple watch faces and swipe left and right between them depending on what you're doing that day, or depending on how you want to set up a face. Maybe you have different faces preferred for different events or functions or whatever you're doing. But that's kind of in a nutshell how it works. Those are really the basics of the Apple Watch. Once you kind of play with it a little bit more, you'll realize all the functions that it has and the functions that it can serve and what it can do for you. One other quick thing I forgot to mention, when you're on your home screen of your watch face, you can see your notifications. It mirrors your iPhone, so you have a notification center and a control center. So if you swipe down on your watch face, you can see all of your notifications from your iPhone. So you can see your emails, your text messages, things that came through, and you can either open them to read them or respond, or whatever you're going to do. And yes, you can scroll, not on the screen, but use the scroll wheel. It's just a cool little way that the hardware integrates with the software. You can take an action on it, or you can just swipe it away from the notification center by swiping to the left. So that's your notifications. And if you swipe up from the bottom, it gives you kind of a control center here. So you can turn Wi-Fi off. This is probably the best function. It pings your iPhone when you've lost it. So if I hit it, it pings my phone in the background. This is like a silent mode. So if you want your watch to ding every time you get a text or a call, it will actually make noise and ping. Otherwise, you can turn it off and it'll just vibrate. You can see battery, so you can put it into a low power mode. Do not disturb mode if you don't want to be buzzed. But for anything, movie theater mode, it'll make the screen go dark. Like I say, just all kinds of features that you really got to kind of explore to see how they work. A water ejection mode, so it will lock it so you can actually swim and shower with this watch. It actually does something with the internals and the speakers where it locks it down and doesn't let any water in. And then to unlock it, you turn the crown. And it's actually blasting the speakers to get the water out of the watch for anything that got in there. So just all kinds of really cool features. Airplane mode, there's walkie-talkie, so you can talk with other people that have Apple Watches. Like I said, just kind of explore it and make it your own, but those are the basic functions and features of the Apple Watch. So that's it. That's everything that the Apple Watch can do for you. Obviously, it's going to take a bit of tinkering to figure out how you want to tailor it towards what your needs and expectations are for this device. But it's definitely a utility. It's a tool. It's meant to enhance your iPhone experience, not meant to replace it. And when you kind of figure that out and dial it in where you want it, where you get your notifications and your calls, it can be a really, really awesome and useful piece of tech. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.